Satnam, offering a general reading from outside, so I hope the noise isn't too much. I have no idea how this sound quality will work, or if I'll end up throwing cards in the sand, or how this will go. So thank you for your listening. And as always, take what resonates within you. Your awareness to your own experience is your greatest teacher. So don't let me sway you from what feels right within. In fact, I hope to empower you to make the decisions for yourself and support you on your journey. I was getting two things today. I got, you have a choice, and I was seeing the Yin and Yang symbol. So I'll share where I went with that. So you have a choice. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to grow? Like, what feels right for you? And is it time to make a move outside of your comfort zone? So when it comes to the Yin and Yang symbol, or as I sat with you have a choice and saw the Yin and Yang, I had the sense of like, we have the opportunity to pause and bring in life, to breathe in light, and the sense of expansion, that the light kind of just moves right through the darkness, that it illuminates, it makes room, it gives birth to a new. But it's that opportunity to pause and sit in that space that brings that life. So will you choose to breathe life? I went a couple other places with that, but maybe we'll come back to that. In the flip side, there is this balance, and sometimes like our insecurities can get the better of us, right? And they hold us down in shame, they hold us back from growing, and at the same time they propel us to grow. So our insecurities give us that opportunity. Will you open the door anyway? Like, even if it scares you, even if it's outside of your comfort zone, will you do it anyway? And I think it's also important to say, to acknowledge how powerful our insecurities can be. When we think of the yin and yang and how there's that little dot of light, it's like that whole darkness kind of suffocates the light. And our insecurities can kind of do that. I know with me, it's like our insecurities can like push me down and like push me into a downward spiral, no different than an addiction. Well, your insecurities can hold you back in that codependent way. And what would you choose? What will you choose? Will you breathe and open beyond this space, or will you let it drag you down? And it's finding that balance to learn from the shadow and grow from it. And how are you feeding your insecurities? Are you letting life pass you by because you're so stuck in your comfort zone? And sometimes I feel like a hypocrite when I speak to you, because there are times when I feel held back by myself. And it's a choice. It's a choice to do it anyway. It's a choice to step up. It's a choice to open up. It's a choice to love. It's a choice to take a step forward. And then how are you allowing someone else to take the reins? How are you feeding into someone else's insecurities? And this is where I think like abuse, trauma, neglect all come into play, where you learn to read a situation for your own safety and survival. So the gifts of reading, the gifts of feeling into another, actually are a way for you to people please, to give yourself away, to be molded in a situation for survival. And what if that game is no longer the game you need to play? What if something else needs to change? And this is where breath comes in. And you know, my knowledge on anatomy and neurobiology is limited. There's so much more than I know, but that breath and that pause to move outside of the pattern response, to give space for new. Where am I going with this? Sometimes it's just like flowing in my brain, and then I sit down and I'm like, oh, where'd the words go? But it's this choice. Do you pause, center, and grow, or do you pause and back down? Which is normally where I go with my trauma response. It's more that like freeze, back down, versus I know other people have more. There's other responses, like fawning and fighting and flight. They all kind of go together in some way, but I think some of us are wired or become wired through our experience. And it takes time to get outside of that box. and working and growing every day. The Six of Wands just jumped out really quick. So glad so there is victory. And how are you seeing your growth? And how are you seeing beyond what once was? So sorry. Notice how he's holding that above, like you've moved beyond and you've made it happen. Bottom deck energy, follow your passion, follow your dreams. And the Nine of Cups is the wish fulfillment card, and this has shown up in a couple of general readings where I've talked about Harriet Tubman and how she pushed people outside of their comfort zone into their own freedom. And will you give yourself the opportunity to step into your own freedom and let the past wash away, work with the emotional response to feel yourself anew and not be, I want to say not be triggered, and that feels so rude coming out of my mouth. And maybe that's because that's kind of where I beat myself up, where I'm like, oh, I've always been teased for being like deer in the headlights or finding myself shutting down, and I put myself down. And maybe I'm supposed to share that, and I put myself down rather than like loving myself through that opportunity. And that's where breathing life versus the choice of insecurities. These are my little notes for you guys. Where'd it go? Anyway, maybe I don't need to find my insecurities. What else? So you have the Six of Wands, the Gazette, and the Nine of Cups. 6 and 9. There you go. I also notice here that there's a ladder. I've never noticed that she's actually like, looks like she's like in a basement, and maybe it's about going down and in deep to find where your dreams really are and rising up to the occasion to find this victory and working beyond the bullshit to get there. The Queen of Cups is the next bottom deck energy, which is interesting based on what I was just sharing with you. Also, knowing the starfish, they can grow. They keep growing anew. They lose a limb and they grow back. And will you give yourself that time to grow and honor what your nervous system needs to rebuild, rather than keep biting off more than you can chew or gnawing at yourself? Oh my goodness. Okay. So when this was coming to mind, the next bottom deck energy is the Page of Wands. And this was coming to mind as I was like driving, that there is this choice. This choice, are you going to let someone throw you a bone, or are you just going to throw someone else a bone and string them along? And that's a choice. And where is that coming from? That pattern of just throwing a bone or accepting breadcrumbs. That's coming from childhood issues, perhaps, that there's some sort of wounding working in this wound mate energy versus soulmate loving and unconditional loving energy of what will you accept when someone throws something at you, and are you just throwing something at someone so that you have someone at your access? And that's not fair. That's not fair. Page of Wands. All right, I think I'm going to stop there with the bottom deck energy. Wow. I wasn't surprised it'd show up, but I thought it would like jump out at us. I have to say, when I first started reading cards, and I'd be reading cards for myself, and a card would jump up, and I'd be like, I don't want to look at that. And I'd reshuffle, and it'd jump right back out. Like, ooh. I gotta look at this. And that's what happens. So what pattern do you need to look at? And the pages bring that information to you, and it's on the beginning stages of learning that. And the Queen of Cups, I mean, she can beautifully discern and beautifully hold space when she is in the right place. But what is kind of fueling insecurity here in cycle, and will you rise up and be victorious not as in like staking claim and winner or loser. It's more of like loving through the patterns so that you can see your true happiness to the end, and it's not a distant dream but a fucking possibility. Gotta put some emphasis on some words. I know it's probably not good to throw out the F-bomb and this and that, but sometimes like words hold energy, and sometimes some words just seem to work better than others. All right, let's see what else we got. This is the Cartomancer poker deck. He just came out with the shadow side of this. This deck reads really, really well. Six of diamonds. So where's their reciprocity? And this is coming up in reverse. So perhaps with this page energy, I just can only stack up the cards right now, sitting on a log. Will you rewrite the script to what you will allow? Like, what are you giving to spirit? What are you handing over to spirit so that you're not taking it on as your own baggage? And will you write? I'm hearing castle in the sky. So notice how the antlers grow up. I always think of mating energy when I think of antlers. And where's the news coming in? And can you listen to your spirit helpers, your guides, your ancestors, archangels, whoever you call on, to really give you that guidance to transmute the energy of the past? So writing it out, writing a new mental script, writing out what you want to manifest, and releasing. So this process of making room by releasing, writing out what you don't want, you can burn it, and then write what you want to come in. So making some room and being your own student of life. So what have you noticed from the past, and what do you want growing forward? Diamond in the sky, like let it come from above, from a grounded place. Again, I'm just hearing like be your student, be your own student of life. Like you learn so much from your own experience. No one can tell you that, like you feel it through, but taking the time to allow that to come in. And antlers too, they can fight, and I know sometimes it's a challenge to rise up to the occasion to what your guides give you, to rise above any challenges, mental conditioning, and the emotional response. It's so much easier to run from it, but it keeps showing itself. So until you take the time to give your energy to yourself and to spirit, it's only going to be reciprocated in like a more of a piecemeal kind of way. And will you allow yourself to grow? To the Eight of Cups is like moving past the past, did I say that right? I don't think I did. To allow the 9, which is your wish fulfillment. So it's just like your genie in the sky. And then the 10 is your happiness. So you're like almost there. There's just a few more loose ends to tie up and come into your awareness. And will you allow that? Bottom deck energy, anything is possible. I think of this as like the man up card, like extra man. Sorry, it's not saying the word man, not being on the full gender spectrum. Thinking in terms of like, they're saying Mr. Miyagi, like being that sage energy versus that Daniel's son fighting it out. And how will you play out your cards? And like when you sit with, and these diamonds actually have more like a fingerprint. If you sit with your imprinting and work through what was imprinted in the nervous system and clear that energy out to let something new, to rewrite your script and breathe in new life to you. Like, what do you want? Like, show your cards. I want to say to the world is what wanted to come out, but when I was thinking about it, it's like show your cards from above. Like, you know the game and the cards you were dealt, and Spirit wants you to work with it on a deeper level. It's time. It's time, and it's worth your happiness to get there, and it's you taking that extra step, and you will have the victory. It's just when you decide to stop playing games and get real with yourself. get real from above. Like it's all there. I don't know poker, so maybe that set of hands means something to you. Yeah. So I got one more deck for you. This is the Return to Self-Love, and this is a beautiful deck. And can you bring love? Like the awakening happens through love, not browbeating yourself. Easier said than done, and it's taken time for me to rewrite that mental programming in my own head of how I talk to myself. And what you find is an insecurity. Well, yeah. I drew a blank just now. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's time for the blank slate. It's time for the blank slate, that you can have whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. You can have your dreams, but you just want to play games? You want to just play with your inner child wounds? Or do you want to have your full wish fulfillment? Like it's your choice, honey. I like how that says it's official. Like it's official. Like it's official. You're awesome. You're a badass. Go for it. Or maybe you don't like badass. You prefer like starseed or angel here on earth. All right. Perspective. How do you want to see it through? And looking through the lens of love. And can you look into your wounds with a loving perspective? I just listened to a talk, and this woman also wrote a book, and I apologize I don't have her name. Her first name is Joy, and maybe I'll link that below. But she talked about her experience with sexual assault, being raped, and there's so much I found powerful about her experience. And it was really how she transformed it. She transformed it with love. And she gave it to God to take care of. And she trusted God anyway. And she saw that perspective where there is some beauty in the experience. There is some beauty in the wounds. And how can you transform those wounds to then help others heal and grow and love some more? There's something else that really stood out about what she said, and it's not coming to me right now, but maybe I'm allowed, if I put it down below, you can come to your own conclusion of that talk and see what feels right for you. And be the light. Let the light come in. Let it break you open. I've been talking with people, and the energies feel really dense. Really feels like it's really turning up a lot, like turning on the spotlight to insecurities, turning up the spotlight to like that pressure builds diamonds kind of energy, but it's like keep working with the energy, keep working with the pressure to then break you open, not break you down. Like these experiences, while they might teach you how to be humble, they might teach you how to love. Like, can you like bring that love inward in a new way, or ask it to come in from above to clear your path, to find that mental clarity, like to find that peace with the past, to then work forward to be your own hero. Wow, that's a lot. I think that's all I have for you today. I hope that the sound is okay in the background, and that this served well. Sending lots of light and love. Set